lived the highs and the hard seasons. This is a place for honest conversations about balancing life, mental health, identity, and finding the strength in every pivot. No scripts, no filters, just bold, authentic connection. So, welcome back. I'm Erin Bear, and today's episode is incredibly personal because it's about where all of this really began. I'm taking you back to the moment I sat down in a counselor's office, completely lost after a golf injury that rocked my identity. In that office, there was a blue chair, and sitting in it changed everything. As you can probably see, I'm sitting in a blue chair today. So, what does that mean? What is that all about? And why do I want to talk to you about a blue chair? A blue chair. Well, it's where I figured out who I was, how I identified, and most of all, where I found myself. So, let's dive in. Are you ready? This is where we're authentic, we're real, and most of all, we're raw. It's about non judgment, and it's about opening up. So, let's begin. Episode 2. Here we go. All about the blue chair. So I said I was going to take you back to my college years, and I wasn't joking. My whole life, my whole entire life, I believed that I was a nobody. When I was a little girl, I was bullied, I was teased, I was tormented. I didn't have any friends, and that's all I really wanted. I wanted to have friends, I wanted people to like me, and most of all, I just wanted to feel like I belonged. It just wasn't the case for me. I found golf when I was just 2 years old. My dad taught me the game, and he and I, man, we have been bonded since the day I was born. So he loved golf. I fell in love with it too, and he taught me everything about it. I loved the sport, and most of all, I wanted to be known for something. So that something became golf. Erin the golfer sounded glamorous and acceptable. So I played, I practiced, I fell in love with the game. I learned everything about it and naturally found out that I was pretty good. Now, growing up as a female, playing golf wasn't such a hot topic, but I persevered and I was determined to get a golf scholarship in college. And I did. I received a golf scholarship to Rockhurst University in Kansas City, Missouri. I felt like I was on top of the world. Nothing was going to knock me off that pedestal or even, do I be bold and say mountain? So freshman year, everything is going according to plan. I've got my classes, I've got my major, I have it all figured out. I'm on the golf team, I'm being accepted, I'm finally living my dream life. yeah, I know. I was only 18, so at that young of an age, you think you have it all figured out. But little do you know, you don't. Anyway, I was practicing, I was playing with the team, I was being accepted, I was playing in some tournaments, but every single time there was a tournament, we had to try out for the game. And there was this one specific practice round where we were trying out for this tournament, and I wanted to play in this tournament so badly. I was just so determined, and nothing was going to stop me. Well, y'all, something did stop me, which is what I talk about in my book, You Are More Than Your Sport, balancing life, mental health, and identity as an athlete. And you'll notice the chair I'm sitting in is actually on the cover of this book. I launched this book last year in March 22nd, 2024. But this book has been a long time coming. Just as I said in my first episode on this podcast, so has this podcast. This podcast actually wouldn't exist at all if it wasn't for this blue chair. Now, the blue chair I'm sitting in right now is not the blue chair that I was sitting in over 20-something years ago. So let's take it back. This practice round, you see, I ended up experiencing a golf injury that took me out of the game, put me on the sidelines, and no longer was I able to tee it up on the tee box. I was out. I was out for the season. And in my book, I go into very detailed stuff. I'm raw, I'm real, I'm emotional, but I lay it all out there. And I didn't know what to do. So I went to my coach And I said, hey, I'm hurt. He knew I was hurt. He could tell. He's the one who sent me to the sports therapist. And I'm not going to go into all the details about the story because that's really not important at this moment. If you want to know that story, you can get my book, You Are More Than Your Sport, available on Amazon. Hey, I said this conversation was about being real. This podcast is all about real authenticity. And yeah, I'm going to promote my book. You better believe it, because I believe in this book and I believe in the message, just as I believe in the message for this podcast. Okay, now I'm getting all over the place, and sometimes I do that. But hey, it's not going to be edited. Anyway, Coach knew I got hurt the day of that practice round, and he told me to go seek medical attention from the sports therapist. I did as he told. I admired him and I respected him. And after all, he was my coach, so I wasn't about to disobey. I went to the sports therapist, and sure enough, I had hurt myself pretty bad. And I asked the sports therapist, well, can I play in the tournament next week? And he said, no. I said, okay, well, when can I play? And he said, you're out for the season. I was sidelined. I was out. I was done. And in that moment, I felt defeated more than anything. More defeated than people not liking me or being bullied or pushed around. I felt that my whole life and everything I'd worked for had just been ripped away. And man, it really was a bummer. It didn't feel good. And I had to go and tell Coach the truth of the matter. And I was scared. I was nervous. So I went to Coach and I said, hey, I'm hurt, and I'm hurt really bad. And he asked me how long, and I said, well, Coach, I'm out for the season. I felt like I didn't belong in that moment, and then I felt that I now was no longer part of the team. And Coach looked at me and he said, you're part of the team. And it's a matter of how you show up. He told me I should seek help. I was like, more help? Are you serious right now? Well, he was right. I was struggling. My grades were slipping. I felt like I wasn't a part of the team. I didn't know how to show up because I was showing up for everybody else. And in that moment, it was time for me to show up for myself. And I don't know if I knew how to do that. I don't know if I understood what that meant. I don't know if I had what it took to show up for myself. Because I always felt like I needed to show up for others so they could see me. So I went to the counseling center in college. 19-year-old me went to the counseling center because I had already had a birthday. So anyway, I walked in the counseling center, said I need to talk to somebody. And I'm not going to go into the details of all of that. What I want to do is tell you that I started out with one counselor and ended with another. But the counselor I ended up with, I barely spoke to him the first time we met. Kept my head down, barely looked at him, but he invited me into his office so we could talk. And in that office, guess what? There was a blue chair. I climbed into that blue chair. I curled up with my hands wrapped around my legs and my feet up on the chair, my head down. I was terrified. I'd been rejected by the previous counselor, and here I was, needing to pour my soul out to this man who was now going to be my counselor. But I knew I didn't have any other choice because I couldn't play golf. I didn't know who I was without golf, and I didn't like that icky feeling. So in that blue chair, over the course of that semester, freshman year, I started to slowly open up. I started to unravel this messiness of what was my life. You know, who is Erin? What is her purpose? If she doesn't have golf, then what does she have? Is she a nobody? Is she a somebody? What is it? And that was hard for me. But that blue chair was comforting. Because I knew that when I entered that counseling office and I really sat in that blue chair, that I could open up. I was in a safe place to do so. I could be raw. I could be real. I could be authentic. No judgment. No discipline, like no like you're in trouble kind of discipline. It was just honest conversation. And believe it or not, that was really the first time in my life where I could sit in a blue chair, in any chair, and just be me. Really show who I am to someone that just wanted to know, who's Erin? Who's Erin without the golf, without the grades, without the family mess or drama, or without the pressures? Who is Erin? So really, the dream of this podcast stems from those moments. Now, if you would have asked me 20 years ago when I was sitting in the blue chair, okay, wait, yeah, almost 20, 22 years ago, when I was sitting in that blue chair in my counselor's office, hey, are you going to do a podcast one day? I'm like, what's a podcast? What are you talking about? But really, that's where I learned about who's Erin and what does she have to offer without golf or without this or whatever. My life experiences throughout college, throughout my younger years, and throughout my adult life has really shaped me into who I am. I've had to learn how to pivot. I've had to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. I've coached people. I've spoken on stages. I've written books. And it's in those ways of expressing myself that I've learned more about myself. Because I've been able to take my experiences throughout my life and relate to others. To say, hey, let's talk. Like, who are you? And when we ask that question to most people, they attach a title. Oh, I am a mom, or I am a teacher, or I am a doctor, or I am a writer, I'm a bodybuilder, right? We all tend to wrap our identity in this title of whatever it may be. Fill in the blank. I am Erin and blah. And for a long time, I was Erin the golfer. Now, if you want to know the true story of what happened with that injury, I'm going to promote my book, You Are More Than Your Sport, Balancing Life, Mental Health, and Identity. Go get it on Amazon. It's a short read. It walks you through some reflections. But the reason why I'm doing this podcast is because I was given the space, an invitation to sit in a blue chair years ago in my college years, some of our most vulnerable years, to open up, to express who I am, to learn who I am without all the noise. And that's what I want to do here. I want to have real conversations with you, authentic conversations. I want to show up as I am, and I invite you to show up as you are and listen, to reflect. I want to connect. I want to build a community. And I can't do that without you guys. Now, I'm not saying you have to sit in a blue chair, literally, but I know that we all have a blue chair. We've all had a moment. For me, I had a blue chair moment. So what is your blue chair moment? A time when you realized you needed help, a reset, a safe place to land. It's not weakness. Though in our world, society, and the noise says we're weak if we ask for help, it's not. My golf coach in college, Coach Capra, may God rest his soul, he gave me permission to see my strength in my weakness. And within that weakness, I found my strength. How incredible. I want you to find your strength within your weakness. Just because we feel weak doesn't make us weak. It's okay to not have it figured out. It's okay to sit down and ask for help. It took me a lot of courage. I mean, a lot. of courage to walk in that counseling office those many years ago, to sit in that blue chair and to start to untangle this mess of who's Erin, because I didn't know. I thought it had attached me to something, and that was golf. Now, eventually I did get to play golf again and play for college, which, thank God. But it didn't mean I stopped wrapping my identity into something. I was Erin the golfer, Erin the college student. You know, eventually I became Erin who works for this company, or Erin the bodybuilder. I was a bodybuilder for 8 years, figure competitor here in Colorado. I competed and I dominated. And then I became Erin the speaker, and then Erin the author, and then, you know, it just snowballs. But really, in reality, I'm just Erin, and you are just you, which is why I pressed my alma mater, Rockhurst, to let me come and speak to the athletes about being more, and mental health, and identity, and sports. And that took what I learned in the blue chair and pivoted to being on stage and talking to young athletes about them being more. And from there, the book was born, and now the podcast. But if I hadn't been brave enough to tell my coach what was really going on, and for him to be a good, great, amazing coach and care about me and say, you need to go seek help, I would have never had the invitation to sit in a blue chair, and I wouldn't be having these conversations with you today. So I invite you to reflect. What has been your blue chair moment? I want to know. I want to hear it. You can comment below, or you can get a hold of me at the Erin Bear on Instagram. Now I'll spell it, but you should be able to see it in the details. It's in the details. But the Erin Bear. So it's going to be my name with the on front. Come on now. ERINBAER. The Erin Bear at Instagram. Send me a message. Share a story in the comments. I want to know what your blue chair moment is. When in life, in your life specifically, do you need to give yourself permission to start fresh? We always feel like we need someone else's permission, but in all reality, we're asking for permission and confirmation from ourselves. And if we hear somebody else say, hey, I think you should do it, or hey, I think that's amazing, or I love that for you, that's outside confirmation. We need to love it for ourselves. We need to say, yes, I love that for me. Yes, I want to do this. Yes, I need to do this. Give yourself the permission to start fresh or start again. That's important. So if you feel like sharing, I want you to DM me on Instagram at the Erin Bear. You can also send me an email if you can find it. No, really though, I'd like you to DM me, share your story, or if you are brave enough to be authentic and real and raw, comment below, share it with the world. Because the more we can connect and create a community, the more impact we can have. How amazing is that? I want you to remember that you are stronger than you think. You're braver than you believe. And you are more. You are more than what life throws at you, what failures you might have had, or what successes you have achieved. You are more. I'll tell you something. It took me a long time to understand that. I hope it doesn't take you as long to understand that. This is Erin Bear, and I'll see you on the next Blue Chair Conversations.